So earlier today, I saw a video about school, right? And I was reading the comments, and people were like, yeah, some of these kids are failing. They don't, they're not trying, and whatever it is. But did you realize school is boring? I am almost 37 years old, and I'm going to tell you, when I was in high school and in middle school and whatever in the 90s and early 2000s, I was bored. I hated school. I'm going to be honest. I hated school growing up because school didn't teach me anything. Taught me how to read and write, yes, and basic math. I'm not going to lie, it did. But it did not teach me anything. I learned everything I know from observing, watching TV, everything else in the book. Because the problem with school that people don't realize is that school only teach you one way of thinking, one way of learning, one way of everything. And there's a bunch of kids that end up being bored, end up being in La La Land, and just because they're bored as hell. They're bored. So they go to La La Land, they don't learn nothing, they don't retain information. It's because the school only teach you one way of thinking, one way of processing, one way of learning, one way of everything. But guess what? Most kids cannot sit in the seat for 8 hours listening to a teacher talk and not know what, you know what I mean? That's not learning. They're just brain and they're just how. You know what the school is basically is for? School is teaching you how to work in a role in these jobs. In these jobs where you sit for 8 hours and be bored of your mind, and you didn't even like the job, but you do the job because you had to get a paycheck and pay your bills, right? And that's what school is teaching people. That's it. They don't teach anything else because school was really teaching, learning, and wanting to observe and learn how to do all this stuff creative. They will have schools to put different types of learning. A lot of kids learn by hands-on, watching a video, dancing, singing. It's so many ways that people can learn but we don't learn that in school. It's only sit down, be quiet, do your classwork for 8 hours straight. Of course kids are not going to pass. Of course kids are going to be bored. I was bored. I hated school because it was like I didn't retain any information in school. I didn't learn anything in school because I was in La La Land all the time because I was bored. And I didn't learn anything in school other than the basic stuff. All right? Other than the basic stuff, that's all I learned in school. And guess what? I learned by observing. I learned things on TV shows, on podcasts, on audiobooks, on life. I see other people do stuff and I just question things. That's how I learned about a lot of stuff. But I'm not going to give anything to schools because schools didn't do nothing for me at all. I basically had I barely passed. I had a C average because I put myself, let me just have a C average because I don't want to, fail and have to repeat the grade again. But that's the only thing. I learned how to cheat in school. I used to cheat a lot of stuff. And people are saying, oh, AI, kids are learning how to cheat. Kids learn how to cheat forever. Cheating would never go away. People will always find a way to cheat. I cheated in school. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. No, I don't know why adults feel like to pretend they were these perfect kids in school. I mean, there were probably some perfect kids out there. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. But for the majority of us, I'm pretty sure it was a handful of kids who cheated. I was quiet, but I still cheated. I found ways to cheat because I didn't remember anything that teach me. If you give me something to read and I read it, I don't remember what I read. I'm sorry, I don't. And I can't explain it either, but I know exactly what I learned for myself. So yeah, schools didn't teach me anything, to be honest. And I'm pretty sure that was in the 90s and 2000s, I could imagine in today's day. You know, probably is worse than now than it was before. So yeah, of course, school, of course, kids are boring. Of course, a lot of kids are failing. Of course, they're not understanding because y'all not teaching anything. Y'all just want the kids to sit in a seat for 8 hours and learn. That's not how people learn. I'm sorry, that's not. We need to start opening this conversation up and start helping other kids to find other ways of learning. Who wants to sit? You as an adult, you sit in your ass for 8 hours at work and you're bored. You don't think a kid for 8 hours is gonna be bored sitting in their seat, not talking, not doing anything? Let's be real here. Let's be real, man. Anyway, have a good day. Enjoy your